Ag Bioscience, the #1 ag tech podcast globally, is now available on video. Hear from leaders and innovators across food, animal health, plant science, ag tech, and agriculture. Mondays at 6 a.m. on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. While you're there, subscribe and leave us a review. It's the Ag Bioscience Podcast with Agronovis Indiana. Get more information at agronovisindiana.com.
The internet changed how we work. AI is changing what work gets done. A bank cut loan processing from days to hours. A student built an AI scheduler, improving on-time delivery from under 70% to over 90%. Most teams know AI matters, but aren't sure where to start. InAI is Indiana's statewide AI adoption effort, built with industry, academia, and community partners, helping you move from understanding to action. Visit inaiready.com.
If we write our story year after year, what is it that changes? New technologies and techniques? Better equipment and training?
Training is a continuous operation from the first day on the job until the day you retire.
What does the IFD do now that it didn't do 50 or 100 years ago? Do we strive to do what we know best even better? Is the heat of the summer or the frigid cold of the winter any easier to bear? Is it still a dangerous profession that demands a lot? Do problems not get solved over coffee or a meal at the kitchen table? Where camaraderie shines and stories are told? While some careers come to an end, still others are just getting started.
And upon graduation, they are assigned to various shifts under the direction of the chief of that particular shift.
Has our commitment to serving the community always been strong from year to year? Have we not continued to update and expand over the years?
Indianapolis has one of the most efficient firefighting forces in the country, and we are constantly upgrading the department to be sure we maintain that efficiency.
The truth is, the passing of time offers an opportunity to grow and improve, to become wiser and more experienced, so that each danger and challenge is faced as a calculated risk when preparation meets opportunity. And all of this happens each and every year on the Indianapolis Fire Department.
Sometimes the best way to drive home a point is to just listen. That's why we're starting this week's podcast with an extended page out of the Indianapolis Fire Department's Public Safety Playbook. Firefighting, water, and rope rescues, just part of what it takes to be a professional firefighter. We learn more about the technology, training, and challenges that go into public safety with Indianapolis Fire Chief Ernest Malone on this edition of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. And I'm pleased to be joined on the podcast this week by Indianapolis Fire Department Chief Ernest Malone. And Chief, really great to catch up with you. I appreciate you taking the time. How are you?
We're doing well, my friend. It's a good day, and we're happy to be here. So we
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunity to talk about our organization with you.
Well, you are certainly no stranger to the organization, have been with IFD, I think, for nearly 40 years. So nearly 4 decades in the fire service. How would you describe, you've seen a lot of change, obviously, on multiple levels. How would you describe kind of the state of firefighting today, maybe versus when you started out?
Yeah, it was 40 years for me this past February, all with IFD. I think firefighters are very similar to what they were 40 years ago in a lot of ways, but also very different. I'm not one to paint a broad brush with the differences in generational folks. I'm sure our parents weren't sure if we would ever amount to anything back then, you know. So, but yeah, the people are different. I think the technology that is we can apply now is much more advanced, obviously, to help us do our job. But I often remind people that, you know, the best tool we have is between our ears. We have to think and we have to figure things out because there's not a policy or a procedure written for everything our folks are tasked with every day. So very similar in a lot of ways, but the tools and the applications have evolved over time.
Many people think firefighters, certainly primarily as, responding to fires, putting out fires. But a lot of the job involves medical response, hazardous materials, all kinds of things. Is there a way to describe the role, the job of a firefighter? Maybe a misunderstanding that people have of what firefighting is all about.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate that question. We appreciate our partners in EMS. EMS is about 78% of our workload, and certainly our brothers and sisters in law enforcement. But when I get a question like that, I like to frame it in that fighting fire is a relatively small percentage of what our folks are tasked with doing. And I remind people, I want you to respect our firefighters and our country's, our world's firefighters, not just because of what they do, Gary, but because of when they show up every morning, what they're willing to do. Not many people go to work willing to sacrifice their life. And my point will be to that question is we don't know what we're going to run into. When people are in trouble and they don't know who to call, they call the fire department. From fires to medical, like you said, whether we're 100 feet up in the air or 100 feet below the water, a dog is stuck in a rim in a tire, somebody's in a grain bin, whatever it is, you call firefighters, we show up. And this is what I remind my folks of because I want them to take pride in that. There's nobody else to call after that. We have to figure it out. We have to at least stabilize and in most cases mitigate that situation and bring people back to some semblance of normalcy. So I think that's a huge responsibility for our nation's fire service. But I just remind our folks to be very prideful about that we have to make it better when our citizens call us.
Yeah, and when you look at the complexities of firefighting today and the kinds of emergencies, the different kinds of fires, lithium batteries, all kinds of different things that come into play. What kinds of challenges do those new types of situations present to firefighters?
Yeah, I was just coming from a conference in Milwaukee and there was a half-day session on lithium ion batteries. It is really a challenge for us. Like many of the hazards we now face, it's the education piece. We have to take the time to learn about the hazard, to really dig into how it works. You know, with lithium ion batteries, the hazard is the thermal runaway. It's the constant energy. Water won't just put it out. Even after you think it's suppressed, you have to have a plan to store and ship those batteries because they can basically re-energize at any point. So you mentioned hazardous materials and other things. With all of those hazards, for us, it starts with recognizing it, learning about it, and then studying and applying the best tactics possible to to make that as safe as possible. The fire service isn't against lithium batteries. We want appropriate codes because there's people who make them properly and get them certified by, UL or Factory Mutual or whoever. But we have a lot of people, like many products, who are making things that aren't made up to standards. So all of us use lithium batteries every day. We just want to make them safe for the consumer to use.
So I guess I would assume then that training has always been an important part, I'm sure, of firefighting, that business, if you will. But today, training may be much more important, much more focus on training because of these added complexities.
Yeah, sure. We're a training organization, always have been. You have to stay acutely aware of our skills. But yeah, the challenges of these new hazards keep us on our toes, and we're constantly evolving and updating our training. I mean, when I started 40 years ago, there was a lot of paper and wood and things like that burning. Now there's things that I can't pronounce very well that are burning, and that are hazards and that burn differently, grow differently, affect our firefighters as human beings differently. So that leads us to supplying them with the right equipment. The equipment to protect us from those hazards are different than they were 4 decades ago, as you mentioned.
Chief, like many industries, certainly the fire service, I'm sure, faces challenges with workforce. Everybody's trying to get workers, no matter what the industry is. How would you describe the recruiting environment in the fire service?
I think career-wise, this subject comes up. I think the career departments, that means paid firefighters, are doing better. We are very fortunate here in Indianapolis. I think that has to do with the men and women of our organization. I think it has to do with our city. We'll get 3,000 applicants for 120 jobs.
Wow.
We're not having a shortage of applicants, and my colleagues in other major cities are in suited similarly. The problem is our volunteer and combination organizations, which over 70 to 75% of our country's firefighters are volunteers. They protect our nation's cities and towns. And the problem is getting those volunteers, that available pool of citizens has experienced a significant drop off. We're trending very well in the paid career, but we have some work to do in the volunteer. And I think we need to, you mentioned recruitment, I think we need to recruit a little differently there. And again, we've had some conversations and attended some meetings on this. The thing today is we say we need to meet people where they are, not where we think they ought to be. And what that means is we need to tell our story better. We need to attract these new generation of people because they are not motivated by the same type of things that maybe you and I were when we started in our prospective roles. So I think folks are out there. I think there's a lot of good in this world, and there's a lot of good people who still want to help. So that would be something I would put out there. How do you want to help your community? Do you want to make a difference? Have you made a real difference in somebody's life today? This is an opportunity for you to do that. And I think those good people will gravitate toward that. We have a great story to tell as firefighters and emergency responders. We just have to frame it and tell it in a way that's attractive to the people we need to help us with that important role.
Yeah, do you think getting that message out maybe even earlier in high schools and community colleges and some of those kinds of areas, do you find that from a recruiting standpoint, you're doing more of that again, as you suggest, getting out to where people are?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, in addition to the traditional firefighters going to the schools with public safety messages, we partner locally with Arsenal Technical High School with a complete program that offers both high school and college credits for attending emergency medical and fire service related classes. So that's a 2-year program. And yeah, we recognize, to your point, that those kids are juniors and seniors, and it's going to be a few years, but it's kind of like weed and seed. Let's plant these seeds of service. Let's show them, We say, take a look at us. We think if we can get you to look at the fire service, you're going to be attracted to it. So starting early with our teenagers and investing in them, letting them know this is something you can do. I mean, 40 years ago, Ernest Malone didn't know anything about the fire service, didn't know anyone on the fire department. And a lot of that was just exposure. And I think we can fix that by telling our story better.
As you look and as you mentioned, metro departments like IFD and others are getting a lot of interest in terms of applicants, but the challenges in volunteer departments are out there. As you look at challenges maybe in more rural communities and smaller communities around the state, how substantial is is there a risk to communities out there? Has it gotten to that point?
I think we're at a critical shortage. I think there's still resources there that will respond and help our neighbors when they call us. So I don't think, I can't speak for every jurisdiction, but I don't think we're at the point where if you call, no one's going to come. We may come from further away. We have robust, what we call mutual aid agreements. That means if an incident may happen in your area, you can call on the surrounding areas to come help. And together, we can pool enough resources to get the incident taken care of. So I think there's a shortage of people. I think we can recruit in a different way. But I don't think our American towns and cities and communities are unsafe at this point.
Yeah.
But we don't want to get there. So
Yeah.
let's take an aggressive stance with our recruitment.
Firefighting certainly is a public service, but for many, it's also a career. How would you, for folks who may be considering this as a career, how does a career in firefighting stack up when you look at things like salary and benefits and all the things that go with a career?
Yeah, I think it's going to. I think it's going to pair very well with other opportunities. We always say you don't take these jobs to get rich, but you can make a very comfortable living and support your family, support your community. I mean, we have the salary, we have a robust benefit package, we have pension and retirement services. When I talk to folks, Gary, a lot of times I just don't want you to think about the firefighting piece. As we said, there are so many fingers that everybody starts as a firefighter. But if you want to be a paramedic, if you want to be a diver, if you want rope rescue, if you want hazardous materials, if you want fire investigation with the law enforcement piece to it, there are many other things that once a person gets their basic firefighter training, that they can explore their interest and take their career in that direction. And people are surprised by that. A lot of people want to be a firefighter the whole time and don't want to do anything else. But we have another group of people that like to take advantage of those other opportunities. So you can make a comfortable living. You can get a retirement package, health package that I think is comparable with good paying, sustainable jobs in our community.
And as you look at that evolution of firefighting and, as a career and as a profession, certainly across all industries, data is a big part of what organizations are doing now. As you look at data-driven firefighting, is that a thing? Is that how important is the data-driven piece
Yeah,
of this?
it's real. We all have strategic plans. We got a lot of community input when we developed our 5-year strategic plan. I will take a moment to brag on our organization. We are internationally accredited, which is a really big deal. It's about a 5-year walk for us. There's only a little over 300 departments. There's 30,000 fire departments, Gary, in the United States. Just over 300, I think it was 324 the last time I looked, are internationally accredited. And then there's the ISO rating, the Insurance Service Office rating, which is a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being the best, 10 means you got some work to do. Your fire department here is also a Class 1 rated department. So out of those 30,000, only 114 are both internationally accredited and have an ISO 1 rating, and the Indianapolis Fire Department protects this community and is one of those elite departments.
Mhm. As you look at traditional firefighting and firefighters today, it's a physical job. It can be a physical job. And for many firefighters, there's a physical toll. And I think old school, it was like, hey, tough it out.
Yeah.
You gotta, soldier on. What, in terms of wellness and health initiatives, how important are those to modern firefighting? And what are some of the things you're doing in that regard?
Yeah, that's very important. I want to finish your other question on data.
Yeah.
Those certifications required a lot of data and a lot of community involvement. But when we talk about data, it is critical. But I always categorize it as this: we are certainly data driven, but we are people focused. We don't want to get so caught up in the numbers. The numbers will tell us a story, but we always take a moment and pause and say, how is this number going to affect Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Mhm.
So we have to use data and we have to gather data, but we just don't blindly follow it. What's the real impact of what that data is telling us? And I think that's a step that's very important that shouldn't be missed.
Yeah.
Health and wellness, we pride ourselves here. Again, I believe our men and women do a great job and lead the nation. We talk about we want to protect them physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And we have very robust programs that firefighters can take advantage of to help them in any of those areas. You want to improve your physical fitness? We have support people will put you on an exercise prescription. You're having some difficulty, mentally. We have peer support and partners in the community that will help you with that. So those services are confidential. It's not my business if you're a firefighter is taking advantage of it. It is my business to make sure that we're offering it to them, because I want our audience to understand firefighters and our first responders are still human beings, Gary. We see things that a human being shouldn't see. We get to do a lot of great things and we get to get involved in our community, but we also see people on their worst day and we see some tragedies that we have to have systems in place to help our firefighters deal with what they are experiencing
Mhm.
in the course of doing this job. So,
Yeah. You mentioned tens of thousands of fire organizations, fire departments around the country. Many of them come to Indianapolis every year for the FDIC international event, the Firefighters Convention, as it's
yeah.
commonly referred to. That is such a huge event. What does it mean in your view? There's an economic impact, but from a firefighter's perspective, what does it mean to have Indianapolis as the host city for this major event?
I think our firefighters are filled with pride. I think we've held it 32 years in a row now. Certainly, it supports our city economically, but in my travels, everyone knows about Indianapolis. It profiles our department. Our men and women come out for that. They support it. They work the information booth. There's almost approximately 140 other hands-on training classes, and firefighters from around the world attend that conference. I think there was over 38,000 last year, and they get to meet and greet and train with Indianapolis firefighters. And it is certainly a high profile event. That it's a lot of work on IFD staff and our surrounding departments. I don't want to leave them out. It's a joint effort, but we're very happy and we hope that IFD will continue to be the host department for that for many years to come.
Chief, as we kind of wrap up here, and we've kind of hit on a number of areas, but from your perspective, is there advice you would give to maybe a young person considering firefighting as a career? Something you would say to them as maybe they're contemplating getting into the fire service?
Yeah, first of all, I would tell them, you can do this. This is for you. I would tell them to look into it. It is not for everyone. We're a very close knit group, like any family. We have our disagreements and up and down, but these folks will absolutely go to battle for each other, and they do that every day. So if you want a sustainable job that you can take care of your family, if you want to serve your community, if you like teamwork and being in that environment, I think this is something that like I said before, we want you to just take a look at us. When you're considering what your options are, I want to make sure you put the fire service and specifically the Indianapolis Fire Department on your radar. I think you'll like what you see, and we'd love to welcome you to join our family here.
Indianapolis Fire Department Chief Ernest Malone. Chief, really been a pleasure catching up with you. Thank you so much, too, for your leadership in our community, in the fire department, but in the broader community as well. Really appreciate that, and I hope to see you soon.
I appreciate the time, my friend, and have a great day. Thank you again.
All right. And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. We're a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can download all of our episodes and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
As a bank, PNC prides itself on being boring. But the truth is they couldn't be more excited to serve the dynamic Indianapolis community. For nearly 160 years, they've quietly toiled away to deliver brilliant results for their equally brilliant clients. They have dedicated PNC teams throughout the local area all ready to do the boring work to help you unlock your own brilliance. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association member FDIC.
We build Indiana. The Laborers International Union of North America are men and women building roads and bridges to get Hoosiers where they're going today and a new energy infrastructure that will keep Indiana competitive tomorrow. LIUNA's over 12,000 statewide members also grow local economies, earning good union wages, shopping where they live and work, and paying taxes. We build Indiana for good jobs and stronger communities. The Laborers International Union of North America. We are LIUNA.